We're going to start. Meeting called to order. Roll call. Mr. Albrook.
Present.
Ms. Calderon. Mr. DeCosta.
Present.
Ms. Coffinger. Here. Mr. Lombardi.
Here.
Mr. Luna.
Here.
Ms. Ryan. Here. Vice President Dunn. Here. President Gomez. Here. Pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board statements. In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the New Milford Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof in the record, New Milford Public Library, New Milford Borough Hall, and the main office of all New Milford Public Schools. The board announces that under its long-standing policy, it will not discuss in public any comments made by members of the public concerning individual staff members. At this time, please be advised that all cell phones and electronic devices are to be turned off. Meetings of the board are open to the public, and all members of the community should feel free to participate. Before coming to the board, the chain of command should be followed. There are two portions of the meeting reserved for comments from the public. The first at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items only, and the second at the end of the meeting for other items. Issues raised by the public may or may not be responded to by the board, but all comments will be considered. The board requests that all members of the public be mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Due to confidentiality and legal rights afforded by the state of New Jersey, members of the public are asked to not speak negatively or in a derogatory manner about any employee of the board or any student. So we're going to start off with a presentation. Mr. Kodiak.
Thank you. All right, thank you for carving out some time. Danielle, good luck in your next chapter.
Thanks, Frank.
You and I have worked together on a lot of projects over the years, a lot of impactful
We
projects,
have.
so best of luck. This has been a 15-year journey for me, really a 15-year research project in my time in the classroom, my time working with nonprofits, and then my time working throughout the county and then in the state legislature. And what I've noticed is, not just New Milford, but public schools in general, New Milford specifically though, we're falling behind when looking at our alumni engagement and outreach compared to private schools. Don Bosco Prep has 21,291 active and engaged alumni. Their last fundraising event, they raised over $1.014 million. Del Barton has a full advancement team of 12 full-time professionals, and they just completed a $23 million fundraising campaign. Now, I'm fully aware that public schools and private schools are vastly different. I totally understand that. But the bottom line is we need to start making steps to get our alumni engaged. And we launched our alumni page, We launched our alumni page in September, which I came and showed you guys. And it's been great. We've had over 1,000 alumni register on there. We get over 15 people every single day coming to this site. And we've had over 3,000 unique visitors since we launched in September. So, how do we catch up? We know that public schools cannot build out advancement departments with 12 full-time professionals. So there needs to be a platform that is able to invite the alumni in and keep them engaged so that they're willing to offer both human resources and capital resources in the terms of fundraising. For example, just this past week I set up one student with an internship at the State Senate office of Kristen Corrado, and another student I set up with an internship at the State Senate office of Joe Logano. I'm not going to be in Milford for the next 50 years. There will be a point where I move on, right? I still will want to help out the New Milford students. The New Milford students are going to need a way to get in contact with an alumni like myself that is willing to help out. So that's what we're trying to do here with the Pulse platform. And we're calling it Pulse because it is your hometown's heartbeat. So, we need to provide a living, vibrant digital community that invites people to come and support their schools. So what we're going to do is we're going to provide team pages for all of your clubs, your teams, any group of students that want to put together their own page will be allowed to do so. This will be a place that people can come, they could get live updates, and they'll be able to relive their memories through a digital library, okay, which I'll get to. Digital Community Museum, okay? Right now, all of our memories are kind of scattered, so what we're going to do in addition to the yearbooks, what we're going to do is we're going to be setting up a way that alumni will be able to upload their experiences. So if I'm a 1998 graduate and I have pictures from high school, I'll be able to upload it, and what it's going to do is it's going to compile all the pictures from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, user uploaded pictures, and it's going to build out the digital history of each school community. So, next steps. By June 2024, what we want to do is we want to establish an alumni database, which I'll get into in 1 second. We're going to do the Milford Giving Day, which I've spoken with Danielle about, spoken with Lou, Joe Riccadelli. This I'm really excited about. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We're going to do what every college in America does, and on one day, we're going to have the Milford Giving Day, which is every organization, whether it's school-related or youth-related, like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, anything that is servicing the youth will be invited, and it is a 24-hour campaign. You build out challenges between the groups, and what we're going to do then is that is going to build out a comprehensive donor database for every single organization that we have, theater, band, all the athletic teams, so that as parents and their children age out, right, and your kids graduate, and then the next wave of parents come in, all those donors and all those supporters, they don't just go off into the wind. It'll be compiled in one place so that the next generation can come in and build off of that. It's the exact same way that the colleges do it. It's the same way that the private schools do it. We're going to bring it to New Milford. We want to grow the list of alumni and donors. And finally, we want to increase the access to opportunities. So, what I did was, any questions to this point? Yes?
So the intention for raising money, what would you use it for?
So it would be the people who are in charge of each of those organizations will be responsible for promoting what it is they're raising money for. So let's say the New Milford Wrestling Foundation wanted to raise money for a new wrestling mat, let's say. They will, and I'll show you what it'll look like, but they'll be responsible for the distribution of the funds because they are a separate 501c3.
Okay.
Okay? I had ChatGPT put together a pretend alumni database, okay? So I put in, I think it was 40, okay? Graduation year, where they currently live, their occupation, email address, phone number, favorite New Milford High School memory, their LinkedIn, and any extracurricular activities they were involved in, okay? What we're planning on doing is we're going to be sending out a Google form to the 1,000 alumni that have signed up to the yearbooks. Okay, so that was phase 1, this is phase 2. We're going to send out a Google form that's going to collect all this data. And this data will automatically populate here on our nmhsalumni.org website. Okay? We got a map here so you can see where all the alumni are. All right, now, take for example, John, I talked to you about the wrestler James Spates, who's going to be getting into engineering. Okay? So somebody like James, what he will do, let's say he wanted to reach out to somebody that is in engineering, okay? Eric Baker is an architectural engineer. Kevin Hernandez, civil engineer. John Smith, okay, let's say he has a connection for basketball. He could send him an email, say, do you mind if we jump on a call for 10 minutes to discuss, what a career in engineering looks like. All right, so this is the connecting the alumni to the students to put them in a better position, as we all know that the current workforce is developing at a rate that we've never seen before. And so the students need as many resources as possible to put them in a position, whether it's for internships or eventually jobs. And this doesn't just end when you graduate. The idea would be that in June, all of the current New Milford High School seniors will get brought into the auditorium. We're going to introduce this to them, and then we're going to have them register as alumni, and then just continue every year to keep growing and growing and building on the alumni database. So, this is where we're at right now, all right? This is the website that we have. I'm not ready to unveil, like it's ready, okay? But this is the website I've been working on. We are about 90% done. We're going through testing right now, okay? So for all intents and purposes, this is where we're living. The grand vision is to get this once it's ready to go. And let me just walk you through it quickly, okay? So each team, like I said, will get their own page. Even the Holocaust Study Tour, the wrestling team, Girl Scouts, the swim club. Everybody that is like a nonprofit that wants to have a page can get their own page. Each page then, we had this was many, many years ago, okay? And again, this is still being developed. There will be an about, achievements, this says roast, it should be roster. The roster can be built out there, okay? So each team will be able to kind of live right here. Fundraising, okay? So band, let's say they want to do a Disney trip, they can do it here. You can donate. $50, whatever, all right? People can leave their comments here, and you can track it. There'll be network for all of your alumni. This is kind of the original page, but on steroids, so to speak. Calendar, as the teams fill in their calendars, this will automatically populate here. So you got kind of a 40,000 view of what's going on at the school. Glory days. In addition to our yearbooks, all right, each year, and I don't like the way this is formatted right now, so I'm going to tweak this a little bit. Each year, you'll be able to upload any pictures from that year. So, let's say the wrestling team. At the end of this year, we will archive it, and then it goes to Glory Days. So 20 years from now, you'll be able to click on 2023, 2024, and you can relive the entire season for wrestling, or the Holocaust trip, right? All college trips can get put up there. Everything will be in one location. And then the homepage will be kind of modeled after Facebook, right? But it's going to be solely school clubs and activities. You know, we just brought the students over, the Model UN crew. We just brought 21 students over to Bergen Academies. I mean, just 2 days of them high-level negotiating and deal-making, and there's really no place right now like this for them to really promote the great work that they're doing. So this is going to be something that, you know, the kids that run their clubs will be able to promote it and things like that. So we'll put this on the back burner for right now because we're still developing and testing and everything. Okay, so right now we're here, and I'm really excited to get this part going because I think that this is a good, crucial step in getting this going. So that's all I got for you. I just wanted to kind of give you guys an update, let you know where I'm at. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I love this, by the way.
Great.
And I love the building up of the alumni platform. But for parents and other adults in the community that would want to have access to this page and be a part of the page, is there the possibility of another page for us to be able to put our name as a resource?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, take my father, for example. My dad is a Hackensack graduate, but he has been a New Milford resident for 45 years. He put 3 kids through the school. He's volunteered on every organization possible. And if he wants to help out, he should be given the opportunity. So yes, there will be an opportunity where it's not just alumni, but it's also, you know, parents and people that are living in New Milford as well. It's kind of an all hands on deck philosophy, right? I mean, students need every resource that they can possibly lean on. So that's what we're trying to do here.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay.
That's great.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. You want me to step into this
Yes,
stuff?
please.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Superintendent's report, Danielle Shanley.
Okay, so I'll save my HIB and suspension report for a closed session. Okay, so tonight I would just like to go over a few things that are going to be on tomorrow night's agenda for approval, and I just wanted to give you a couple of highlights. The first one being the approval of the school year calendar. So a draft went out, we asked for feedback, we received feedback, we made a few changes to the originally proposed calendar, and I just want to highlight what some of those changes are. There are actually 3. The first one is that in October, after surveying the faculty and staff, the faculty and staff overwhelming majority agreed that they did not need the second day of Rosh Hashanah, but would rather have off the Monday before the Christmas holiday, the 23rd, because we were coming back on the 23rd just for one day. So we made that change, and that's reflected in the calendar. And the other request from the faculty and staff was to make June 3rd, which is an election day, a no student day, but a half-day PD day. So we did that, and then we shortened the year for the teachers by 1 day instead. So on the day of high school graduation, it'll be a single session day for students and a PM checkout for teachers. So they wanted to come back the day after that. So that's reflected in the calendar. And also, just so that you know, the spring break will be a little bit early because Easter is so late in April, so it will be the week before the Easter holiday. That wasn't a change, I just wanted to make note of that. Okay, on the agenda, there was also something under curriculum called the approval of the Higher Education Student Assistance Authority Agreement. The attorneys have reviewed this agreement and made some changes via an addendum. So in the attachment, you will see the original agreement and the addendum. This is because the state has now made it a requirement for students' families to complete the FAFSA as part of graduation requirement. And then this is actually a student information sharing agreement to share with the state so that they know who has and who has not completed the information. The attorneys wanted to make sure that there was no financial information that was shared and that the only thing that was shared with the state was whether or not the students' families completed it, and also wanted to take the burden of helping families complete it off of the school system. It is for any of you who have been through the FAFSA process and have not maybe, enlisted the support of somebody to assist you with that, it can be daunting, and schools felt that the state was putting us in a very bad position, because then if we require it as part of a graduation requirement, then people are going to come to us and say, well, then you need to tell me how to fill this out. That doesn't mean we will not have financial aid night. That doesn't mean that we will not bring people in to talk to parents about this, but we will not be, we don't have the resources to support parents in completing the FAFSA. There is also a waiver process. Parents can waive the information and say, I'm not participating in that, and the waiver counts as meeting the graduation requirement. So that is on the agenda for tomorrow. The long-awaited approval of head football coach appointment is on the agenda for tomorrow. William Straub is being recommended after an interview process. We placed the ads in multiple outlets to garner a lot of interest, which it's my understanding that they did. And this candidate comes to us both very experienced and highly recommended. You will also see that the assistant coaching staff right now says TBD, because Mr. Coach Straub needs to be approved, and then we'll assemble his assistant coaching staff. There's an P23 24.98 is the approval of an additional spring musical staff member. So in the past, we have had an assistant producer. Ms. Viner used to split the role with Ms. Perna, actually. And so we are bringing back an assistant producer, Stelios Giannoulis, graduated, I believe, of 2014. He graduated with Kim Corzelius. They were in shows together, and he's very much interested in coming back and supporting the program. He is now a certified teacher. He also has a business degree, and he will be working mostly on the front of the house, fundraising, and all the things that are not part of the artistic part of the production. So I think that's really important for them to understand that running a show is both an artistic endeavor and a financial endeavor, and that it really does need to be both. So I'm excited to have him join the team. So that's a join the team. So that's a revision to the previous budget. Unfortunately, Ms. Tambuccio has decided it is time to retire. So we will be accepting her retirement tomorrow night, obviously with regret and with great thanks for all of the time and love and dedication she has given to the program and the students of the community. And she will be missed and virtually irreplaceable. So it was a pleasure working with her. In finance, number 168 and 169, we are approving two donations from Joe and Holly Alacio, both for the theater department and for the senior class. I'd like to thank them for those donations. They worked tirelessly and ran a variety of fundraisers in the hopes of being able to give back. And their younger daughter is graduating this year, so very sorry that I hope this isn't the last of their fundraising efforts, but
Add them to the thing.
add them to the alumni thing, right? Exactly. Lauren will be talking to you, Lauren Adoxa will be talking to you more about the approval of the New Jersey Learning Acceleration Program High Impact Tutoring Grant. She's going to talk to you about that. And I've also put forth, just so that it was taken care of, really before my departure, is an approval of the budget for the ARP ESSER funded 2024 summer theater program this summer. And I also want to thank Dr. Jim Albro of Riverdale High School for allowing us to practice and perform in their auditorium. Because after June 20th, our auditorium is going to be closed for renovations and things that need to be done this summer. And he has so graciously allowed us to finish practicing, build our set there, and perform. Hope he doesn't regret that. But we're going to talk about the only thing that will probably come of this is a custodial fee. He's not charging us any rent, so grateful to him for that. And probably what is going to be a very well-received information for the community is that Mr. Riccardelli, our athletic director, has very graciously agreed to, I shouldn't say agreed, offered, because I didn't ask, offered to volunteer his services as head intramural flag football coach so that we can have a flag football team for the girls this year. And Mr. Waldron, who is a teacher in another district, I believe a parent in the district whose child will not be playing on the flag football team, has offered to volunteer his services as an assistant coach of this intramural team. So it's really important, and Nicole, I don't want to step on your toes at all because I'm sure you have a report that you want to give. So here is where we are with flag football. We talked about this in December. The greatest expense is the coaching fee, and we do not have a negotiated stipend for this role because it is not officially approved sport. We didn't receive the funding from the Jets this year, and as a result, didn't have the funding to run the intramural sport with all the cuts that we had last year. So we were looking at just not offering it because we just didn't have the funding. So what's going to happen, and we just did discuss this in committee, is that they will volunteer their coaching services. There will be no transportation because it'll be 4 home games and 4 away games, and the students and their families will have to transport themselves. And so all that the athletes, intramural athletes, will have to pay for is the cost, small cost of increased insurance and the refs. So it'll be approximately $75 a player. And we're hoping that that gets us through this year. As we look forward to next year, it's really important to know that the NJSIAA, right now, these young ladies, it's an intramural sport, and if they run track or play softball, they can still do this. Once it becomes an official NJSIAA sport, approved sport, then the girls will have to choose. They won't be able to do both. So we don't know what the future of flag football will be in New Jersey. And this is obviously very much a Band-Aid for just getting us through, because we have some girls who really want to play, especially some senior girls who really want to play. And so I'm grateful to the volunteers, because we wouldn't have it without them. And the other thing that's on the agenda under personnel is the approval of acting superintendent of schools. We're on DOCSA for March 1st, and the lovely letter that went out on Friday. And I just want to say that I could not think of a better person to step in, who is very well prepared and very well apprised of where we are. And I hope that you trust in her as I do, because I don't think she will disappoint you. So, and I think that's it. And then tomorrow I'll do my good news.
Yeah, any questions for Danielle? You have a question?
You.
I know, you're not looking at me.
No. What we talked about with the...
I apologize,
It's
Jeff.
okay.
Yes, and I did offer Mr. Lunam an opportunity to speak at the end of my report, because he would like to say a remembrance for...
So, yeah, on February 10th, a gentleman by the name of John Goldstein passed away. John was my high school vice principal. I believe after I graduated, he may have become the principal at David E. Owens. He was known as Mr. Burke back in the day. Subsequent to his leaving New Milford, he married his husband, Shell, and with all the pitfalls in social media that exist, one of the advantages is that you get to reconnect with people. And I got to reconnect with John Goldstein over social media probably 12 or 15 years ago, I don't remember. In the time since then, I became very close with him and Shell, as did my wife and my kids. On several occasions, we visited him in Florida, and whenever he was up this way, you know, we made it a point to go out. On a personal note, real personal note, more personal, when my son passed away in 2017, I got a, you know, condolence on Facebook, like, you know, from hundreds of people. But then when the wake was a few days later, he just showed up and stood in line and came up from Florida. And he was a little bit older at the time, and that wasn't necessarily the easiest trip, and especially on a fixed income, etc. But that's who John was. Years and years later, he was still there for his students. And I think last I looked, we had something like 250, you know, mutual friends on Facebook, and probably 249 of those were his former students. And he got very close to a lot of us, and as a true educator, and, you know, we use the terms here of, you know, lifelong learners. You know, he was a lifelong teacher, and long after his days here, you know, he continued to educate and inspire many former New Milford students and alumni. So I thought it was appropriate to just recognize his efforts to the district and his passing, and what a tremendous human being he was. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction Report, Lauren Adoxa. Good evening, everyone. On February 28th, next Wednesday or Thursday? Wednesday. New Milford High School Academy students will be embarking on an enriching high school academy trip. Once again, visiting many different colleges and universities, including DeSalles University, Muhlenberg College, Arcadia University, Temple University, Villanova University, and Princeton University. Students will be engaging in comprehensive tours of each of these institutions, and there's some fun worked into their itinerary for the course of the days, including a historical tour of Philadelphia, as well as a dinner, and some visits to museums. So I know that the students always enjoy these trips. Were you going to mention
What happens, Beth?
email that you received today? Because I figured this would
I
kind of
can,
build
but
off
I don't
of
have,
that.
but I don't have her name with, let me get her name, keep talking.
Okay. I know that these trips are wonderful opportunities for our students to get outside of New Milford and look at higher educational opportunities that are out there for after graduation. So we're always excited to offer these trips for them. I also want to express my gratitude to Ms. Williams, who carefully and thoughtfully plans these trips for students, weaving in all of the visits to different universities. Her thoughtful planning has not only broadened our horizons, but also ignites a sense of excitement and aspiration for higher education among our students. So thank you and kudos to Ms. Williams. Before I move on to the grant, do you want to
I found it.
share the email?
So Ms. Williams sent us an email today, and we don't have the student's permission, but I think she's going there, so. I think maybe not, we won't say it.
Maybe not
Okay.
mention by name.
So, a student, an Academy senior, came into Ms. Williams' office with little tears in her eyes and very excited and nervous because she could barely get out the words that she was accepted to Northeastern, which is no easy feat. It's a great school, highly competitive. And as she congratulated her, the student said, "No, you don't understand." She said, "I never knew about Northeastern until our academy trip last year to Boston." And she said, "And I would have never known if I hadn't gone on that trip. Our trip did it." And Michelle says, I love these stories, and they happen year after year. And next week we head to Philly, and 35 juniors and sophomores will be, we'll hope that, like this student, will find their perfect fit too, broaden their horizons a little bit. So just happy that works. And that has happened to us many times over, just because students don't necessarily even know to look at a particular school. They've never heard of it before, or once you see the campus, you have a completely different idea. Sometimes you think a campus is in a city. I don't want to go to a city school, but then you get the feel for it when you're there, and you say, well, it really doesn't feel like that. It feels like a campus. So these are great experiences for the kids.
Very exciting. I just wanted to give you an update on the High Impact Tutoring Grant. So as you know, the Department of Education came out with the High Impact Tutoring Grant, which was competitive funding for school districts aimed at supporting students who were impacted by the changes in learning environment during COVID, particularly 3rd and 4th grade students, as a result of remote learning environments. So we submitted the application back in the fall. We were found eligible for an award in the amount of $114,990, which we're seeking approval of those funds tonight, F-170. And then we began the pre-award process, which was a lengthy process, going back and forth with the department, revising the initial application, and we were received final approval on January 25th. Following final approval, the district put out a request for proposals for seeking to partner with one of the department's approved vendors, tutoring vendors, who would be responsible for delivering these interventions and targeted supports. So all proposals were carefully reviewed and scored. I believe Dr. Kuchar may be sharing some information on that tonight or tomorrow night. Maybe.
If you want me to.
Maybe.
Sprinkle it in.
But tomorrow evening, we are seeking approval for the High Impact Tutoring Program Coordinator
I would like to draw your attention to P88, which is the job description for the program coordinator, as well as P89, the actual approval of the coordinator. And the coordinator is going to serve as the liaison between the district and the vendor, ensuring success of the high-impact tutoring program by overseeing its implementation, communicating with families, communicating with the vendor, and driving student achievement, maintaining oversight on the benchmarking and ongoing monitoring of student progress. And that's all I have for you tonight. I know that there's a few other little pieces regarding the approval of the vendor and when that will be forthcoming, but I'll let Dr. Kuchar update us at another time if she's not prepared this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Lauren? Okay, business administrator report. Stephanie, sure.
Good evening, everyone. So first, for the agenda for tomorrow night, F2324.172, Riverdale Regional High School asked us if we had busing available, and so since they're being good neighbors and allowing us to use their auditorium, I felt like we should be good neighbors and allow them to use our buses. So we're just charging them the cost of the driver and not fuel or mileage or anything. So that's on the agenda for approval. The audit is hopefully concluding, and I hope to have that submitted in time for the budget so that we don't have budget revisions. They've been in district for the past like 3 weeks, I want to say. So hopefully that will be concluding soon, and the auditor will be here for a presentation as soon as that's available. We currently have a balanced budget. We're awaiting the state aid numbers that are going to be released later this month. We do have ideas of if we get an increase where we can add money, and if we get a decrease, what our cuts will look like. So we have all that in the plans, but right now we do have a balanced budget. I believe it was last week, one of our buses was taken off the road. It needs a new engine, and so it will be off-road for the foreseeable future. Unfortunately, it's one of the buses that has a wheelchair lift, and we do transport a student in a wheelchair. And so we do have a backup bus with a wheelchair lift, and so that is now on that route. Unfortunately, if a bus had to go down, it was fortunate it happened in between sporting seasons because we don't have sports currently being affected by a bus being off the road, but depending on when we can find an engine, the engine that's currently in that bus is no longer built and they no longer make parts, so we need to purchase a new engine. There is 20 years left on the bus, so it doesn't make sense to decommission the bus, and so we'll be seeking an engine and put a new engine in the bus and get that bus back on the road. But for now, we are down a bus, which will affect our routes and sports in the near future. I actually just received, Mrs. Shanley, I'm sorry I didn't get this information to you sooner, but I just received it that we will have no increased cost to insurance for flag football. So we'll be able to add them, and it will not increase our current umbrella policy.
Excellent.
In terms of the high-impact tutoring vendor, I think we're gonna need to have a special meeting to award that contract sometime, hopefully next week, because we need to post it and go through everything again, so I'll provide an update on that tomorrow night. And I think that concludes my report for this evening.
Any questions for Stephanie? Any liaison board committee reports?
We had an athletic committee meeting on the 12th, but pretty much everything that I was going to report, Mrs. Shanley stated, with the exception of the, just with the exception of the outcome of PEVME night. I just wanted to let the board know, speaking with Mr. Regadelli, that even though it was split up over 2 nights, in the past it's been 1 evening, they still were able to raise over $2,100 for that, for the scholarships. So, other than that, break-in regarding football and flag football. It was reported out by Mrs. Shelley.
We might have, more good news another day. Depends on what happens on the day. Never know.
Any other committee reports?
One other question.
Oh, first, okay.
So for that, because it's been a topic with the football coach, just curious, what engagement, if at all, did the board, the committee have in any of those discussions, was any of that presented? Because I was made aware that maybe some parents had some engagement, so I want to understand.
Well,
what
that was a
is.
question that was asked by us, if there was any community involvement in the hiring process, and we were told that the only people that were involved were Mr. Ridelli and Mr. Manicali, but there was no community involvement.
Not that I'm just.
No,
curious
that
if
was a question that we did ask as part of the committee.
And part of that too is to protect candidates. Some candidates may be currently working in another district, don't want people to know that they're applying. Candidates could be internal, don't want hard feelings. So, no parent involvement.
Joe?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we held a PR committee meeting on Sunday. Thank you for all who took the time out of your weekend to attend. I planned on going over that tomorrow at tomorrow's meeting, so I just wanted to mention that we did have the meeting and I would report on it tomorrow.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? No? Any correspondence?
None this evening.
Okay. Agenda items for discussion. Any questions regarding board action? Any questions regarding educational programs and curriculum? Any questions regarding personnel recommendations? Any questions regarding finance and facilities? Any questions for athletics and co-curricular? Okay. Any old business? Stephanie?
I received a phone call earlier today from Councilwoman Hetty Grant in regards to the email that she had sent to all of us in regards to the marker. Did we resend those applications?
I didn't resend anything yet. I have to make additional copies. You have to send a bunch of copies, and truth be told, that we've been a little busy, but it will get done.
Thank you.
We're gonna follow up and send again, and I guess we'll have to send another check, because that check is obviously not there
I
either.
don't
Right.
know about the process, but I
Right.
know that it,
There was a cover letter,
yes.
a check, and multiple copies of
She seems very knowledgeable about the process, so
Yes.
if anybody had questions, I'm sure she'd be happy to
Yes.
help.
Okay, do you have a question?
It was me, but I received the same phone call.
She called all of us.
Oh, you did too, huh? Yep. There you go.
Okay.
I was gonna ask anyway, because we got the email.
Yeah, so was I.
I was not able to return her call, but I did see her call.
I'm on it, we're on it.
Noted.
It's on the list.
I just,
It's on the list.
I just have a question in terms of, do we know what happened? Do we know if it was the wrong person, if
I'm
the
not-
check is not cashed, like, all
The
of
check
that?
is not cashed,
Yeah, okay.
because I looked it up on
Is there a way, yeah, I guess you could talk about sending it where someone has to sign for it,
Or-
like, I just
or
curious.
the hand delivery.
Hand deliver it at this point, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know there was a person who is on another committee that we are both on, and they looked into it because it's been a while, and that person was able to verify that the application was not received. And
No, that's what it said in the email.
So-
I'm just
Said in the
saying,
email,
yeah.
I'm just saying, what can we do to make sure that,
Hand deliver it.
yeah, that's why I said that that doesn't happen again. Okay.
that's just the backstory to it.
Any new business? No? Did you get that?
No.
I open to the public. As outlined in New Milford Board of Education bylaw 0167, each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes. Seek a motion. Joe Lynn, seconded by John DeCosta. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone from the public? State your name, sorry, in town.
Lynn LePage, New Milford. Just curious, I don't know if I missed it, but where is the football coach from?
I don't have that information with me.
What town does he reside in, or where is he?
Well, I wouldn't be able to tell them the town he was at.
Where's currently working?
I know the answer.
I know the answer to that.
You know where he's
Joe does.
currently working?
Joe does.
Go ahead.
He's currently an assistant coach at Bergen Catholic. He's been a previous head coach in Westwood. I looked him up when I saw the name. Westwood, I believe he won a state championship there 15 years ago or so. I believe he's coached in Fort Lee as well. Tony, you know any other places?
As a head coach, no, you've got all of them.
There you go.
There you go.
Any other questions from the public? Okay, I seek a motion to close to the public. Stephanie, seconded by Nicole Dunn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any board member requests for additional information? Okay, closed. It is hereby moved that the Board of Education adjourn into executive session in accordance with provisions of Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 PL, for the purpose of discussion and consideration of matters pertaining to the following subject: student matter and personnel. The minutes of the executive session will be made available to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. A motion to recess to close? John DeCosta, seconded by Angela Lombardi. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No action will be taken in the time.
No action will be taken when we return.